If you are over 60 and you have ever felt your vision go completely dark in one eye for just a few seconds, or your arm went numb and then the feeling came back, or you suddenly could not find the right word. Mid-sentence, you were not having a strange moment. Your brain was sending you an emergency signal that almost nobody your age was ever taught to recognize. Every 40 seconds, someone on this planet has a stroke. Most of them never saw it coming. The ones who did see warning signs ignored them because the symptoms disappeared in minutes and felt too small to matter. They were wrong about that, dead wrong in many cases. Before this video ends, I'm going to show you the exact 5 warning signs your body sends in the hours or days before a major stroke signs, so specific that if you ever experience even one of them, you will know exactly what to do inside that critical 7-2-hour window when a stroke can still be prevented. If you or someone you love is over 60, what you are about to hear could quite literally save a life. Please subscribe right now and turn on notifications. I am Dr. Clifford Adeshina. In over 20 years of clinical medicine, I have watched preventable strokes happen to patients who had clear warning signs hours or days before the catastrophe hit. By the time this video ends, you will know exactly what they missed, and you will have a decision framework that could change everything. Stroke is the second leading cause of death worldwide, and the #1 reason people end up permanently disabled. What most people do not realize is that stroke is almost never a sudden lightning strike, with no warning. In the majority of cases, your brain gives you very specific advanced signals, small episodes that feel strange, last a few minutes, and then fade away completely. Most people experience those warning signs, feel relieved when the symptoms disappear, and convince themselves it was nothing. Research is very clear in roughly 10 to 15% of patients who experience a transient ischemic attack, a TIA, which is a mini-stroke that resolves on its own. A major disabling stroke follows within the next 72 hours if nothing is done. That 7-2-hour window is the difference between a prevented tragedy and a lifetime of recovery. Does any of this sound familiar to you personally? Your brain weighs about 3 pounds but consumes roughly 20% of all the oxygen you breathe and 25% of all the blood sugar circulating in your body. It never rests. Cut that blood supply for even 4 to 6 minutes, and brain cells begin dying in ways that cannot be undone. An ischemic stroke, which accounts for about 85% of all strokes, happens when a blood vessel in the neck or brain becomes blocked by a clot or a fragment of plaque that breaks loose from a vessel wall that has been silently degrading for years. Think of it like a river that has been narrowing for decades because the banks are slowly crumbling inward. At some point, a small piece of debris drifts down and lodges at the narrowest point. The whole river backs up. Blood cannot get past. Brain cells downstream begin dying instantly. Here is where it gets critical. In the hours or days before that final blockage happens, smaller fragments can temporarily jam that narrowed section. Blood flow stops for seconds or minutes. The brain area fed by that vessel goes dark. Then the fragment drifts away, flow returns, and everything feels normal again. You think you were lucky. You were not lucky. You were warned. Neurologists treat those brief episodes like fire alarms because the data is unambiguous. If you had one today, there is a significant chance a larger one is coming within the next 3 days. I want to tell you about Serafina. She was 69 years old, a retired school administrator, still active in her community, and felt like she was doing everything right. One Wednesday afternoon, she was standing at her kitchen counter when her left eye suddenly went dark, not blurry, dark like someone had pulled a thick curtain across that side of her vision. In about 45 seconds, the darkness lifted. Vision returned completely. She told herself it was probably a blood pressure spike or eye strain. She finished her grocery list, drove to the store, made dinner, and told nobody what had happened. 2 days later, on Friday morning, her daughter found her on the bathroom floor. Serafina could not move her right arm. Her speech came out as slurred fragments. The stroke was massive. 8 months later, Serafina could form short sentences. She could not write. She could not drive. She needed help getting dressed in the morning. The woman who had spent 40 years organizing schools and raising a family was now dependent on others. The darkness in her left eye on Wednesday was not bad luck. That was a clot fragment breaking off a dangerously narrowed carotid artery. The same clot, 2 millimeters in a different direction, would have gone straight into her brain. She had 72 hours to prevent exactly what happened on Friday morning. She had no idea. Now you do. The first warning sign is sudden blindness or blurring in just one eye. Not both eyes. One eye. The vision goes dark, gray, or cloudy like someone draped a curtain across that eye only. You blink. You rub it. Within seconds to 2 minutes, the vision clears completely. What is actually happening is a tiny clot or fragment of plaque has broken loose from your carotid artery and traveled into the artery that feeds your retina. Your eye loses blood supply for a moment. When the fragment drifts away, blood flow returns, and your vision is restored. That same fragment could have traveled 2 millimeters to the side into a brain artery. Instead of 45 seconds of blindness in one eye, you would be facing permanent paralysis, loss of speech, or death. Hospital records show a consistent pattern: patients who experience 2 or 3 of these eye episodes and dismiss each one, and then the next episode is not the eye at all, it is the brain. The second warning sign is sudden numbness or weakness on one side of your body, one arm, one leg, half your face. It comes on instantly while you are sitting, walking, or talking. Feels like pins and needles, or like that body part has turned to rubber. It lasts 1 to 5 minutes, and then sensation returns completely. You have probably had your leg fall asleep from sitting wrong. That is nerve compression from posture completely different. This is your brain. When blood flow to the area of your brain that processes sensation from one side of your body drops suddenly, that side goes numb. The critical detail that every neurologist watches for is the one-sidedness. Never both hands evenly, never your whole body, one side. That asymmetry tells doctors this is your brain, not your posture or circulation in your limbs. If you ever experience sudden one-sided numbness, even if it resolves in 2 minutes, call your doctor that same day and describe it as a possible TIA. The third warning sign is sudden loss of balance or coordination that makes no sense. You are standing on solid ground and without any warning your foot lands wrong. You stagger sideways, your legs feel rubbery or weak. Or you feel an intense spinning sensation so severe you grab the nearest wall just to stay upright even though you did not move, did not turn your head, did not stand up from lying down. This happens because of the vertebrobasilar system, the network of blood vessels that feeds the cerebellum, the part of your brain that coordinates movement and keeps you balanced. When blood flow to the cerebellum drops even briefly, it glitches. You lurch sideways. You feel drunk without touching a single drink. Most people blame this on bad shoes, fatigue, or a blood pressure moment. But spontaneous intense spinning with no clear cause, especially paired with any unsteadiness in your walking, should be treated as a possible TIA until a doctor rules it out. The fourth warning sign is sudden speech breakdown. Occasionally forgetting a word or feeling slow when tired is normal. What concerns neurologists is when your speech suddenly fails in a way that feels genuinely alarming to you. You are talking, and the words come out slurred or jumbled, or simply will not come at all. Or someone speaks to you, and you can hear the words but cannot decode what they mean. Your brain has 2 primary language areas. One helps you form and produce words. The other helps you understand spoken language. When blood flow to either area drops suddenly, speech collapses. It lasts a minute or 2, and then clears completely. You feel embarrassed. You tell yourself you were just overtired. You do not mention it to anyone. That is a classic TIA. When speech suddenly fails and then suddenly returns, you do not talk yourself out of it because it got better. Getting better does not mean it was nothing. It means the clock just started. The fifth warning sign is a sudden severe headache unlike any you have had before. Not a tension headache, not a migraine you have had before. What I am describing is a headache that arrives with shocking speed and intensity. Patients often describe it as the worst headache of their life, sometimes feeling like a thunderclap, an explosion, or something snapping inside their head. This type of headache is a known warning sign of a subarachnoid hemorrhage bleeding around the brain from a ruptured aneurysm. It can also precede a hemorrhagic stroke. This is not a headache you take a painkiller for and monitor at home. This requires emergency evaluation immediately, not in a few hours, not tomorrow morning. If you or someone near you develops a sudden, explosive headache that feels completely unlike any previous headache, call emergency services. Every minute matters. I need to ask you something directly. Have you ever experienced any of these 5 episodes even once, even briefly? Even if you convinced yourself afterward that it was nothing, type yes in the comments right now. I read every single comment personally. After 2 decades of watching what happens when patients recognize these signs too late, I developed what I call the 7-2-hour decision protocol. If you ever experience any of the 5 warning signs, sudden one-eye blindness, one-sided numbness or weakness, unexplained loss of balance, speech breakdown, or a sudden explosive headache, your job is not to monitor it at home and wait. Your job is to act within 72 hours. Step 1. Get urgent medical evaluation, not your next scheduled appointment. Urgent. Use those words when you call. Step 2. Ask specifically for 3 things: a carotid duplex ultrasound to examine the structure and blood flow in your neck arteries, a glycated hemoglobin test to catch hidden blood sugar damage, and a Holter heart monitor to record your heart rhythm over 24 hours to catch intermittent atrial fibrillation. Step 3. Bring a written list of every episode you have experienced, even ones from months ago. Doctors make faster and better decisions when you hand them a written timeline. That is your protocol. 3 steps. 72 hours. That is the window between prevention and catastrophe. If symptoms are happening to you right now, do not finish this video. Call emergency services immediately. Sudden weakness, sudden blindness, sudden inability to speak. Those are not symptoms you describe to a friend and decide whether to act on. Call now. Do not drive yourself to hospital after any of these episodes. Call someone. The risk of a second episode at the wheel is real and puts other lives in danger too. Do not start blood thinners on your own. There are 2 types of stroke: blocked vessel and bleeding vessel. Blood thinners help in one and can kill you faster in the other. Imaging is the only way to tell the difference. Let a medical team make that call. In the 72 hours following any warning episode, avoid smoking, alcohol, and exposure to extreme heat. Sudden vessel dilation in an already unstable circulation can trigger the full event. Ask your doctor in advance what blood pressure reading constitutes a crisis in your specific situation, so you are never guessing when it matters most. You now know 5 things that most people your age will never know until it is too late. Sudden one-eye blindness is a clot fragment warning you that your brain artery is critically narrowed. You have 72 hours. One-sided numbness or weakness is your brain telling you blood flow has dropped. You have 72 hours. Sudden unexplained loss of balance or violent dizziness is your cerebellum losing blood supply. You have 72 hours. Sudden speech breakdown that then clears is a language area in your brain losing blood flow. You have 72 hours. A sudden explosive headache unlike anything before is your brain telling you something may have ruptured. You call emergency services immediately. You are not the same person who pressed play on this video. You know what to look for. You know what to do. You know the window. That is power that almost nobody your age has been given. You just spent time learning something that most people your age will spend their entire lives never knowing. Most people will scroll past warnings like this one and assume stroke happens to other people. You chose to stay. That choice says something about you. Now I need you to do one thing. Not subscribe though, I hope you will. One thing that matters more right now. Think of one person in your life who is over 60, or who has high blood pressure, high blood sugar, or a history of smoking. Send them this video right now. Not just a link, a message. Tell them you watched it and you want them to see it. Make it personal. That small act of sending this video could be the reason someone you love is still here a year from now. Then subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Everything I share here comes from the same commitment. Your right to know what your body is telling you before the crisis happens, not after. Now I have a question for you. Of the 5 warning signs I described today, can you honestly say you have never experienced even one of them? Type your answer in the comments. Be specific. Because if you have had any of these episodes, even once, even if it was years ago, that changes the conversation you need to have with your doctor. Your body has been working for you every single minute of your life without asking for anything in return. The least you can do is learn to hear what it is telling you. I am Dr. Clifford Adeshina, and I will see you in the next one. Everything shared in this video is general medical information based on published clinical research and professional experience. It is not a personal diagnosis and does not replace care from your own physician. Always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your medication, diet, supplements, or health routine.